The battle to decide which platform is the best will probably go on forever. After using both platforms for a couple years, starting with the Android and then transitioning over to Apple, as a student I definitely do think Apple is the better platform for note-taking, creative work, and just more reliable tech for everyday use. But it's also probably going to be more expensive just because it's an Apple product. So today we're going to be deciding which platform is actually worth picking up and building a whole ecosystem for: Team Android and Windows or Team Apple. Bro, this is so fucking heavy, bro. So to start off with the most obvious deal breaker, I don't know why I'm holding two laptops, but to start off with the most obvious deal breaker, if you like to play games or you want to play games, then you have to go with the Windows laptop. Even though the graphical powers of the MacBook is really powerful thanks to the help of the new M1, M2, M3 chips, but for some reason you cannot download or play games on Mac. So yeah, you're really left with no choice but a Windows computer or laptop. But if gaming is not important to you and you are a content creator, you want to be a content creator, oh my god, there is no better ecosystem than Apple. So just get the iPhone, get the MacBook with Final Cut Pro, and you're basically done. Because first of all, video quality on the iPhone is just so good. It is still the king. And next up, for video editing software, Final Cut Pro is the best video editing software out there. And yes, there are other great video editing softwares on Windows like Premiere Pro, but you know, Premiere Pro is like a monthly payment kind of thing, so that means it's like infinity dollars. There's also DaVinci Resolve, but that thing is way too complicated for the average brain users like you and I. So, and it's also like $350. So that basically just leaves you with Final Cut Pro. And Final Cut Pro is a one-time purchase thing, so you just have to buy it once. And on top of that, it is also $200 with the student discount. And Final Cut Pro on Mac is just really reliable. It doesn't crash at all. Making cuts and edits and adding text and effects is just really fast and snappy. And it's not too complicated to use, unlike DaVinci Resolve. Plus, sending videos, photos, and audio recordings from your iPhone to your Mac is way too simple with the help of AirDrop. Everything just works so seamlessly together in the Apple ecosystem if you're creating content, so you can really get into this creative workflow and make as much content as you like. And the reason why I really like it because I filmed a whole entire holiday trip in Europe and I made a video about it over here, and the whole thing was filmed on my iPhone and my Sony camera, and the whole thing was edited on Final Cut Pro, you know, and it was so simple. And yeah, it's just a very powerful laptop and a powerful editing software, and I think the video turned out pretty well. If you want to check it out, it's over here. I think one of these. And on top of that, MacBooks are just so good. The battery life on this thing is insane thanks to the efficiency of the M1. The speakers on this thing are very nice, and honestly just the battery life alone is a good enough reason to get a MacBook over a Windows laptop. So next up we're going to be talking about tablets. You know, if you're a student and you got classes tomorrow, taking notes is probably really important to you. Like it is for me because I'm a medical student. Yeah, so you do need a tablet, and unless you plan on doing everything old school like with pen and paper, but if not, then you should definitely pick up an iPad 8, 9, or 10 generation. It's significantly cheaper than the iPad Pro models unless you do have the money for that, but if not, these are very lightweight, they're slim, they're portable, and they're extremely durable because the screen is made of plastic. So if you drop it and stuff, it's not going to crack or break, and even if it does, the repair cost for it is probably super cheap. So yeah, you can throw this thing around anywhere you go. And honestly, like the screen, the performance, the battery life on this thing is very solid. I have no problems with it whatsoever. And as for note taking is concerned, like there are a ton of great apps out there. The ones that I'm using is GoodNotes, but there's also Notability, and these note taking apps have a ton of incredible features. Like you could add text, you could add pictures to it, you could highlight it, add effects and stuff like that. Like this is the first Apple product I've ever purchased. This is the best thing I've ever bought. Like honestly, like you really do need an iPad if you could afford one. And for the Android side, there are a lot of cheaper options out there. You know, you got the Xiaomi Mi Pads, which you could pick up for like a cheaper price. But I don't know too much about the Android tablet side, so I can't really talk too much about that. But I will say this though, the Samsung Tab S9 is looking pretty good. And lastly, the most important thing that most people came here for, let's talk about the phones. So I have owned a Samsung S21 Ultra for over 2 years now, back in 2021, and I recently switched to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So after using both flagship devices, which one did I have a better experience on? That is definitely going to be the S21 Ultra. As much as I really like Apple and how incredibly good their tech is, but it is really hard to overlook just how good and how nice the screen looks on my Samsung S21 Ultra. Not only that, the keyboard is better, it is a little bit easier navigating through apps with the help of back gestures and things like that. So yeah, I think most most people would have a more user-friendly and better experience on the Samsung compared to the 15 Pro Max. And there's something that I've recently noticed about the iPhone that really been bothering me for like a month or so, and that is that the post-image processing on the iPhone is so bad. Apparently it's like a known issue. Like, it is known that iPhone has very terrible post-image processing. So yeah, because of all these issues, I think people would have a better experience with the Samsung. And of course, there are other flagship devices from like Xiaomi, Oppo, OnePlus, Nothing. I don't think they're as good as iPhones or Samsungs, but they're also like significantly cheaper than those options. So the tier list is going to be like other phone brands, iPhones, and then Samsung for me. But to take a step back though, the iPhone is still no slouch, and there are a lot of things that the iPhone does incredibly well over Samsung. Number one is going to be incredible battery life. I've used this thing for 2 months, and oh my god, the battery life on this thing is so good. Number two is that the iPhone is extremely fast, and it has probably the most powerful chip in existence today on the smartphone. Then this doesn't just mean you get a really fast and powerful phone, but it also means that, you know, the longevity and the lifespan of your iPhone is probably going to be a lot better and a lot longer compared to any Samsung device that you get or Android phone out there. Then this is great for people who changes their phone like once every decade or two. Like, I have some friends that changes their phone like once every 3-5 years and stuff, and they have an iPhone and they're good with it. Number three, iPhone still has the strongest camera out there, so this means that you are going to look extra nice in video calls. So yeah, it's great for someone like me whose whole social life is on Discord, unfortunately. And number four, you get a ton of extra features when you combine the iPhone with the MacBook, and they are actually legitimate useful features, you know. And some of those features that I use are continuity camera and AirDrop. And number five, this is like a little side note, but the dynamic island and the action button is very, very useful. Great features to have, and yeah, that's something that I really do appreciate on my iPhone. So yeah, that's about all the stuff that I do love on the iPhone. And looking back though, even though I do prefer the Samsung flagship, I don't regret getting the 15 Pro Max because I do own a MacBook. So with that being said, which ecosystem is better for students? Should you go with the Apple side, or should you get a Windows computer and go with the Android side? Overall, I do think Apple takes the win on this one. Even though they are more expensive, but their products from the iPhone to the MacBooks to the iPads are very, very well polished over the years, and they're just much, much more safer and reliable to use. And not to mention, you know, they last longer. They have longer longevity, longer lifespan. So yeah, that is why I do think that the Apple ecosystem is the one to go for students. And if gaming is really important to you and you don't have to like take it on the go everywhere, then honestly you should just get like a gaming computer like what I do. Now that's just my take on it. Of course, you know, we can agree to disagree. Everyone has their own opinions, and it's totally fine. It's totally fine. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and thank you guys so much for 710 subscribers. That is insane. I'm so happy about that. Help me get to 1,000 so I can get monetized and stuff. That'd be really, really sick. And if you want to check out the video of me reviewing my first impressions of the iPhone 15 Pro Max, check out this video over here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care and peace.